Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, the Kevin Samuels effect, showcase major strife between black men or American black men and modern overall American black women. Again, the topic today is the Kevin Samuels effect, showcased major strife between the black men or American black men and modern overall American black women. Let's talk about the twisted psyche of what Kevin Samuels showcased within the American black community overall between the American black men and numbers of modern day numbers of American black women. The ones that are being used in the system against the American black men overall, not talking about the sellout ones, because the system is laughing. Let me read you something from a book called Propaganda that was written several generations ago. It's a very powerful book. See, it's the interesting thing when people tell the American black man overall, and some numbers of American black women, to get over the past. Why y'all still talking about the past? Right? And supremacy, the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed. They sit back and laugh because they know the gullibilityness of certain type of Negroes within sections of the American black culture will believe that nonsense to say put things in the past while other people, other agendas, etc., continue to talk about their past. Right? What is the number one culture in America that has went through more pain than anybody else within the country? Any other culture, ethnicity, alternative lifestyle category, etc. What other personnel? What other personnel again? What other personnel again? And don't even think about saying, well, what about the American Indians? Go jump into a lake of fire with that. That's nonsense. Only is accepted to people who don't know any better. And I'm not going to waste my energy going to that direction in this particular topic on this particular topic. I make that point because there is no such thing as another culture, ethnicity, alternative lifestyle category, border breaking number personnel that have ever come close to the black pain of what the American black man and woman has been through. Nobody. If I was just utilizing one subject, just for right now, again, this is not the topic for this show, but I'm making a point. What other cultures, ethnicities, alternative lifestyle categories, border breaking legal immigration personnel were ever put in enslavement for generations and families broken up left and right in America, right? The land of milk and honey, liberty, and supremacists laugh because they know that makes no sense. What other culture again? Alternative lifestyle categories, border breaking illegal immigration personnel, ethnicity. I make that point because for so many amount of generations that the American black man and black woman stood together. I'm not talking about literally, right? But they stood together in unity because they had to, because there was so much black pain going on against them. They didn't have no allies from these other cultures that are benefiting off of black pain. So they had to do things themselves. Right? But look now at this modern day nonsense of the strife that's going on continually within the American black culture overall, and especially the hatred toward the American black man. which goes into this topic of Kevin Samuels, right? But again, let me read this part of the book from part of a section on propaganda. It's only a couple of sentences I'm going to read today on this. If you can influence the leaders, either with or without their conscious cooperation, you automatically influence the group which they sway. But men and women do not need to actually be gathered in a public meeting to be subject to the influences of mass psychology. Let me read this again. If you can influence the leaders with or without their conscious cooperation, you automatically influence the group which they sway. But men and women do not need to be actually gathered together in a public meeting to be subject to the influences of mass psychology. This is the power of modern day feminism that's going against the American black man. And it's not even true feminism. It is demonicness. And quite a number of American black women, not talking about the few percentage points of American black women that are real good in the heart, and they're not trying to listen to this nonsensical feminism, demonic, bulldozing, indoctrination, propaganda machine that's going on, that was started by certain numbers of women within the predominant culture that had nothing to do with black women. See, supremacists, they're brilliant. Again, the most awesome mental manipulation force that's ever existed. Look at how this thing with Kevin Samuels, with numbers of American black women that have shown such the vitriolness of disgustability and hatred toward an American black man. Right? The vitriol, disgustability, the internal hatred toward an American black man. See, be it however numbers of personnel did not like him or liked him, however on that. But how many numbers of American black women had hatred and still have hatred for him for speaking various truths? Right? Was he perfect? Let me say this again. Was he perfect? Right? Who is again? Let me say it again. Who is again perfect? But again, the vitriol and the hatred by numbers of American black women, right? Not talking about the small percentage ones that still have love for the American black men. That's a small percentage. Because supremacists know that, especially the supremacy of feminism. They know that. But you notice how they utilize the word generically when they say, oh, Kevin Samuels didn't like women, or they'll say he didn't like black women. You say, which black woman you talking about? Because they make sure not to talk about the number of American black women that actually did agree with Kevin Samuels. Let me say it again. They make sure not to talk about the numbers of American black women who actually agreed with him. They don't want to talk about that. The distractors don't want to talk about that. The demonic feminism versions, they make sure they don't want to talk about that, right? That's demonicnism. See, demonic feminism don't give a 2 cents of a caca-chaka leg about anything dealing with American black women. They don't care. They only utilize the American black women, the ones that are gullible as 2 snacks of a froggy-taka tail. They only utilize the black women that have no darn sense, the ones that are sitting there believing this nonsense about feminism as if it applies to them. And they don't understand they're being used. So the ones within American black culture, numbers of black women that have so much hatred for Kevin Samuels, even though now he's not in this physical realm anymore, the hatredness still of an American black man, because of why? Oh, excuse me, let me go back here. Now, the impeccable dressedness of Kevin Samuels, talking about colognes, right? How to smell good, well spoken, his knowledge, right? Versatile knowledge. He could have been called Dr. Samuels, right? But since he did not have tremble in his voice or tell numbers of modern day sections of black women that they are right, right? No accountability, right? But he succeeded to tell them they're right. He's going to change his tone and make it a little bit more sulfur, make it a little bit more sulfur, make it a little bit more sulfur. He was vilified. You see the demonicness of that, right? Beyond discussionality. But again, watch this. Again, again, again. Numbers, they won't talk about the numbers of American black women who actually, again, agreed with him. But that's going to be minimized because the narrative of demonism, feminism, right, does not want that to happen. And they will utilize however numbers of American black women, the ones that are lost, that sit there and don't even realize that they're being used by numbers of demonic feminism that did not care anything about black women only a few generations ago, when they still had formal segregation, formal lynching, etc., right? Non-equality still. But you can't tell certain numbers of American black women modern day, the ones who know who they are, they can't stand American black men, right? But Kevin Samuels got chastised, right? For not lowering his standards and talking in a low or a low tonality voice and a softer voice of a weak voice. Because this system wants extremely effeminized black males, high trembleness, high tonality, right? No semblance of strong black maleness. They don't like that. They don't like it at all. See, the same time, I mean, think about how this sounds. Here it is in this system of hatred supremacy, right? That can't stand American black males regardless, right? They can't stand American black males regardless. They showcase them, oh, black males are criminality, even though it's not black males who commit the most crimes, right? It's numbers of personnel within the predominant culture commit the most crimes, right? See, they try to continue to make sure they minimize that. Well, it's because more personnel within the predominant culture. Man, go shut up and go jump into two lakes of fires with that nonsense. Because that's not what they talk about initially. They make sure first to show criminality toward the American black male, and then you got the very few amount of numbers of black males and some very few other personnel that say, wait a minute, no. Numbers of personnel within the predominant culture are the ones who have done the most damage in the society, commit the most crimes. They don't like that truth. They don't like that truth. This system does not like truth because what they'll do is something like this.
Oh, sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge. He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead.
This is what they do. They pretend what you say in reality is not necessarily true. That's a form of what they call gaslighting, which is old tired type of mental manipulation tactic that continues to be used, especially among numbers of American black culture, numbers of American black culture that are constantly being gaslighted. The culture, I call it cultural gaslighting. Constantly. Right? But watch this, even extra demonicus. There is a section of American black women, modern day versions, who know where they are. They can fool some other people, right? Well, let me phrase that. Numbers of American black women can't fool really nobody in this system because the system says, look, man, y'all are no good anyway. Look, y'all are last of the ladder, stuff like that. You can jump up and down a bunch of education level all you want, you little gullible Negroes. You go to, whose school you go to? Whose college? Whose Ivy League school, right? Whose major college you go to? Huh? Whose? You go to colleges, what, predominantly by, well, I don't go to all that, by your school that's supposed to deal with black colleges, right? You go to mostly our schools, right? You go to mostly our schools. but numbers of American black women make sure not to bring that up. And it's interesting by certain numbers of American black women that have watched Kevin Samuels shows, because there's quite a number of ones who watched it. There's quite a number of ones who did not. But they just parakeeted off numbers of the gullibility of certain sections of American black women who watched a few of his shows and saw that he wasn't bowing down and calling black women queens and changing their stance of trying to do a betterment to help numbers of black women see things a little bit different. Because has it been working for numbers of American black women get into significant relationships? Obviously not. But they'll make sure not to sit there and talk about the numbers of, again, black women who actually did agree with him. They make sure not to talk about the numbers of American black men and black women who actually came together because of Kevin Samuels. They don't talk about the numbers of American black men and black women. Say, for instance, maybe they either broke up or was considering breaking up, and they start looking at that, or maybe the black woman started looking at his show, saw things a little bit different. Maybe they saw it together, and they became a better couple, a black couple. They don't talk about to make sure that the numbers of American black men and black women that became engaged and or got married through Kevin Samuels' wisdom. They make sure not to talk about that. It's all about saying, oh, he didn't like women. He didn't like black women. You see the demonic of that? And even worse, extreme worse, they make sure, right, numbers of sexual within, numbers of black women, modern day versions, the ones who are sellouts in this such situation with anti-black male rhetoric, they make sure not to talk about that for the first couple of years or so. Kevin Samuels was not talking toward women and American black women. Let me say it again. At the beginning of Kevin Samuels' YouTube sensation situations, he did not start off talking to black women or women in general. He was talking to men, and especially black men in general, at the first couple of years. They make sure not to talk about that, right? Because this is what you hear when you speak that kind of truth. That's what happened, like crickets in the mindset, right? See no truth, don't want to hear no reality, right? Because again, supremacy, the most awesome mental manipulation force that's ever existed, right? That utilized supremacy through feminism as a secondary most awesome mental manipulation force that's ever existed, that utilized quite a number of American black women to sit there and use them like nothingness, right, for the agenda of supremacy through feminism, right, to showcase or to help more numbers of American black women to hate numbers of American black males, right? Because there are certain numbers of women within certain parts of predominant culture who can't stand their own males, right? Don't want to hear anybody tell them what to do. And so that stuff dissipates down to numbers of American black women, right, who seem to forgot about their mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers who had to sit there and be more unified toward American black men, knowing that they were no mountain to themselves in this system that were just enough where they would harm a black woman just as nothing in the world. And who was going to be the protector of black women? But since now the productionality of demonic feminism have got numbers of quite a number of American black women thinking that they are so independent now. But every day there's examples somewhere about numbers of American black women getting reminded of black pain and don't even realize what's going on. But let's get to the meat of the topic of the show as well. Remember again that the first few years of Kevin Samuels' show was about males and especially black men, not women, especially not black women. But they make sure not to talk about that part, right? Let's just go over some of those initial things within that first couple of years. Let's just go over that for a second. Give me one moment. Let's go over that for 1 second. Give me one moment here. One moment. One moment here.
You know exactly how I wanted to put it out. This video is for all guys, brothers in particular. So about to get a little old school, new school, and some game. Why men look like shit. People don't realize.
Mm. Uh, uh, did you hear anything where he was talking about women or black women? He was talking about males, specifically black males. This predated him starting to talk to women and or specifically black women in general. This predates that. But they make sure to talk about that. Right? Right? Because this is what they hear. Right? Chatterboxing. They make sure not to hear about that reality. Right? Because they know quite a number of personnel are not going to know. Quite a number of personnel are not researchers, and they know this. So they know that they can use certain sections of American black modern day women. Again, these are the sellout versions, right? I'm not talking about the few percentage ones that are really good American black women that ain't falling for the supremacy through feminism as well. But it does not matter in this system overall, meaning that they say, well, you make up only a few percentage points, because if y'all were the overall amount of controlling factor, then y'all would be able to quail upon the nonsensical part of that other section of American black women, modern day, that sit there and be mouthing off toward the American black male. So they say, we ain't worried about you few percentage of good American black women. We ain't worried about y'all. That's the greatest of supremacy, right? The power, the manipulation. I just showed you that particular one where initially he was talking about black males. Let's continue. Let's keep going. Let's keep going for a second.
Okay. But I want to tell you guys one thing in particular. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter how old you are, how much money you have. Your image, your reputation, your personal brand is a tool. It is not disposable. You know, we as men, we got to understand something. I can go into the numbers and get real granular and talk about women buy most men's clothes. A lot of guys, we don't understand that what you put on communicates to the world. We just look at it as clothes, and a lot of us are like, I ain't spending no money on no clothes. I'm not going to blow my money on no clothes. I'm not going to waste my money on no clothes. Why do I need to spend money on something that I'm going to throw away? All these other things, not realizing that, look, you know how it works. When someone is looking like they belong in that part or whatever role, you know, it's been said over and over and over again. Guys, your image is important. If you don't care about it, if you're just getting by, then you don't get upset if you're not getting the outcomes you want. And a lot of times, guys don't want to hear that truth. We just don't. You know, if I come on here talking about, you know, female nature, such and so forth, and if I would start bashing women or talking noise, oh man, the likes and everything will go through the roof. But when you start talking to men, say, guys, you know, cheap is some of the most expensive stuff out there. You gotta do better with your image. You need to get in the gym or start working out. You know, check out your nutrition, drink more water, think about what you're wearing, put a little thought into it, and stop acting like clothes and your image is just this disposable thing that no one's supposed to care about, or that you're special and the rules don't apply to you. Guys, a lot of guys don't want to hear that because it goes counter to what they believe.
It don't. I mean, This is so ridiculously beyond logical sense. Because again, that's a second video I just relayed over, right? That talks about again how he was talking about toward males in general, but obviously through logical sense, going toward the black male overall, right? And you see how he was still trying to help numbers of males, but also specifically black males go to a different level on how they see things, how they dress, because dress not necessarily to impress. That depends on what situation, wherever you're at. But unfortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, that the way a person dresses does influence how people look. So if you see black males just sagging, which this system likes seeing black males sagging, they love seeing them in just dirty clothes or just dilapidation type of looking clothes. Oh, they like it. They like that unkemptness. They like that, right? They love it. But here it is, Kevin Samuels, impeccableness of nice dress, extremely well spoken, haircut, excellent, right? No high tonality in his voice. Just naturally speaking, has the aura of a strongness of an American black male, and he was vilified for that. But you also hear when he said in that also last clip, what did he say? He said that a lot of times how males really don't want to listen to different things, right? But what did he say? He relayed over that. Now, if he would start talking about female natured and bashing women, oh man, the lights will be up. Oh, let me say this again, because this is one of those demonic feminism nonsensical crap propaganda, demonic indoctrination, not nonsensical stuff. Is that they want to talk about what he didn't like women, he didn't like black women. But what did he sit there and say in that clip, which again predates when he started talking to women, and especially numbers of black women. But what was that again? But what happens then again when you relay over some kind of truth like that? What usually happens when you do that?
Sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge. He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead. No.
See, it's funny, but it's not funny, right? Because the guy was like, "Look it up." That's kind of common knowledge. Look it up. No, I don't hear that. I don't hear that. Nope, I don't hear that. This is what numbers of certain sections of American black women do not want to do. I'm talking about the ones that are lost, that are gullible, that's been used by feminism, right? The demonic version of feminism that has nothing to do with femininity, right? Only toward anti-black hatred, especially toward within anti-black male hatred utilized by numbers of women, numbers of American black women, with a few percentage exception points within American black culture, right, that want to be around numbers of black males, that few percentage points in the collectiveness, right, that are not falling for the supremacy of feminism, that hates black males, and they hate black women just as much, but numbers of black women, because they may have certain type of educational level, they may have some benefits. I'm talking about the lost ones who think they can have a certain benefit or have a certain type of education. That means something in this system. That it means something because it is allowed to mean something in this system. Because who still controls opening up your businesses? Who do you think controls the educational system? When you go to those super Ivy League schools and well-to-do schools, who do you think controls those schools? Who do you think controls those accreditation agencies? What, blacks? See, these kind of things, again, that numbers of American black women do not want to hear. I'm talking about the lost ones, are the ones that do not like reality, right? But let's continue, okay? Let's continue.
So do I. And being a good man ain't enough. If you think that just because you got a good credit score, you got a degree, a middle class job, credit cards, paying your own bills, that overcomes women wanting to sleep with you, women looking at you and not being sexually attracted, you got another damn thing coming. Looks do matter. Appearance does matter. Sexual chemistry matters. Game matters. Body matters. It's not enough to just be a good guy and think beautiful women are going to want you. Now, see, you can't do anything with the genetic lottery. You look the way you look. Your face is the way it is. You can do something about your hair, your facial hair, the hair on your head. You can't do something about the glasses on your face, the hat on top of your head. You can't necessarily do something about your height. You are the height you are, but you can't do something about the shoes on your feet. You can always do something about your body. You can get your ass in the gym or you can even do what Herschel Walker did.
Don't hit the gym. Do some push-ups, pull-ups, squats, crunches. Guys, you gotta be honest. So do I.
Where is he talking about women or black women specifically? Where was he talking about women and specifically black women? He was not, was he? He was talking toward males, but especially toward black males, right? Trying to get numbers of black males to see how important their image is, right? Their health, etc., to try to do what they can as best as possible. Again, who is perfect again? But he gave what his best as much as he could to try to uplift numbers of black males as well to look at things differently. These videos I relayed over, these initial videos I relayed over was, again, predates when he started talking to the first couple of years or so when he was talking to males, but specifically black males, which again predates when he started talking to women, especially numbers of black women. But again, through supremacy, the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed, right? That utilized numbers of gullible versions of American black women. I'm talking about the lost ones and the sellouts that are against their American black males with so much anger and jealousy and hatred of them, right? This kind of rallies what I show, they still don't, they make sure not to want to talk about that because they say, well, we already know within a collective culture, they're not researchers. See, it's one of those things where there are personnel within predominant culture that try to bring up some things, but the system does not care about those few either. It's about the predominance of demographics who have the hatred toward American black male and want the social and economic and political power to remain non-existent toward the American black male and black woman. They say they will make dinosaurs come back alive and roam this earth before they ever allow black men and black women to have any real control. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. They are not going to happen. Just like I always have to say this, I stand by what I say. The American black man and black woman overall only has half a generation to one generation left before the overall complete devastation, destruction of the American black culture overall. And the only people that's going to remain within the culture are cultural survivors. That's the way it's going to be. Doesn't matter. I don't care what nobody believes in on that. It is going to happen. You had to be some people talking about 500 years and 400 years. It's now black pain. It's like, do you see the embarrassingness? 400 years and 500 years of black pain in some kind of way, right? Generation after generation after generation after generation after generation of black pain, and still no power by numbers of American black folks. God, hot dang. Think how that sounds. And no reparations, but they've given numbers of Asian personnel reparations, have sit there and given a series of reparations, have given, continue to keep giving what we call Native American reparations, have given Afghanistan reparations, right? And what's the thing with the, in Ukraine giving them reparations? That has nothing to do with black folks. And then you have numbers of however Ukrainian people at the border and other different places being allowed in. And who pays for that? Who pays for that? But at the same time, they can't seem to find reparations for American black. Do you see how crazy this sounds, right? The embarrassing of this. So they sit there laughing and say, look at them numbers of those American black women, modern day, a non-small percentage of them, that sit there and look down upon their American black men as if who's going to protect the American black woman? Right? Which goes to this other section I'm about to start going into, okay? When he starts going toward the black women or black women that are people that that slot under the black category, but they're not black because they come from somewhere else different, but they're able to slot under the black category, and some of them do that and really do want to acknowledge the greatness of the black, because without the American black man, black woman, a lot of people that get to fall within black wouldn't even be able to come to America. But again, that's a different topic. But let me sit there and start showing you some of this part of it.
Ultimately, I want a man that's a provider,
Okay.
willing to work
Okay.
in the beginning, but when it's time to have children, I do want to be able to stay at home and raise the children.
All right.
Well, they're
How
able
many kids would you like?
issues with me. Ideally 3 to 4, but right now I would say at the age that I am, maybe 2.
How old are you?
32. Well, I'll be 32 soon.
Okay. So you want to be a traditional housewife then?
I wouldn't say ultra traditional, but somewhat, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you want the man to be a traditional provider.
Yes. Ideally, I would like that.
Okay. That sounds like an imbalance.
I don't necessarily think so.
If you need him to be a traditional provider,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not getting a traditional housewife, what is he getting that's better than a traditional housewife? Because his responsibility is here. What's he going to get that's here or above?
What does a traditional housewife entail?
Well, you tell me. Because you said you're not one.
You see how that goes? Playing games. Now, again, it's not about the person personally. It is the lostness and nonsensical verbiage that comes out that person's mouth, not them personal. Trying to play word switchery games. What is a traditional housewife, right? She is old enough. She's what, 30 something? She's old enough to know what a darn traditional housewife is. Trying to play games. But what did she say real fast, right? That she wants a traditional man, right? That means shut your freaking mouth up, pay these freaking bills, do what I freaking tell you, take your, you know what, to your business of work, and don't really talk to me, right? That's what it really means to numbers of American black women, certain ones, right, within this system. Not talking about the numbers of small amount of good American black women that ain't falling for that, right? But you hear what this particular person said on this, right? What is traditional? What is it? What is a traditional house wife? Like she didn't know. But she knew very much quickly when he asked the question, "Do you want a traditional man, right? Basically, right? That goes off to work. He has a business, and you want to stay at home and take care of your kids. Oh yes, definitely, I want that. Didn't hesitate. No hesitation on that. But then when he said, "Okay, so you want to be basically a traditional housewife?" Do you see the nonsense of this? This is the stuff that American black males are having to deal with. This kind of stuff. Game playing, right? Game playing. But see the thing about it as well. So you have somebody say, the American black male, they really don't want to be with American black women. They want to be with other different cultures. Okay, here we go again. That little nonsense of crap. As if there was no American black women that specifically go toward numbers of males within a predominant culture, as if there's no black women, American black women that don't specifically go for Hispanic personnel, as if there's no American black women that specifically go toward Asian males. You see how continue, et cetera, et cetera. But if a black male decides, hey, okay, they have interest in some other women from different cultures, then he's looked at as, oh, look at him. Look, he wants to go talk to some other culture, but American black woman has overall in this system no accountability overall to the sellout ones that have so much anti-black male hatred internally that she can sit there and go and date who she want to talk to anytime she want, do whatever she wants to do. No accountability. Marry who she want to marry, get with whoever she want to get with. But if an American black male wants to do that, then he's vilified. Do you see the hypocrisy of that nonsense? But see, for me personally, I wouldn't even waste a half a sense of a half a breath arguing with somebody like that because I see right through it on that. I see right through it on that. Right, but let's continue.
Accountability is kryptonite to modern women. Man, you say the traumas. If I accept it, then you got to do something about it. Because what about the traumas that the black man has to deal with? But we still have to get out here and be functioning people in society, contributing. You don't get to walk around and say, have a special victim status.
I'm not saying we should have a special victim status, but our circumstance is different. We are women.
We are less. You're 24 years old. Is your circumstance harder or easier than your grandmother and your great grandmother?
Exponentially easier. We have access to information we didn't have.
Exponentially easier, but you're handling it worse. Your grandmother and your great grandmother actually worked with a black man with more trauma.
Because they understood that the black woman and the black man are on the same side. Now that we are all free and independent and we could do whatever we want to, why would we seek to, be one with the black man? We even think that being...
Thank you. Clip it, slice it, put it on World Star. She said it, not me. Now that you're independent, you don't need to be with. There you go. There you go. And there you go, black man. There it is. She's finally got one to say it.
Build businesses with us.
Your grandmothers and your great grandmothers had more trauma and more stress and did it better. They have exponentially less and they're handling it worse. But it's because they're free and can do what the hell they want to. They'll need to be with you. So you don't need to feel any guilt for taking care of you.
Sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge. He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead. No.
See, again, I know it's funny a little bit because this is what the demonic nonsense that's going on through feminism that is utilizing numbers of American black, modern day black women. There is no excuses for that. I refuse to allow any type of nonsense to enter my mindset when, these kind of things like that, that showcase Kevin Samuels showing the strife that's going on between numbers of American black men, American black women. By numbers of American black women, modern day numbers of them who have hatred for the black man. Now, this young lady was 20-something years old, have no idea about black pain. Have no idea about black pain, right? Have no idea of the hardcore struggles that the grandmother, great-grandmother, American black great-grandmother had to go through only a few generations ago. A form of segregation, right? Have no idea. That couldn't go to any swimming pool if they want to go to. They couldn't go to any hotel they want to go to. They couldn't go to any motor lodge they want to go to and rest up. Couldn't go to any kind of restaurant. Couldn't go to any kind of lounge counter only a few generations ago. But see, again, right now, they don't have to worry about that formally, right? Now they have no idea, no freaking clue. And they really think they're free. But every day you have numbers of American black women that get reminded every day that they're not free. And what do, unfortunately, quite a number of people within American black culture do? Go to their rescue without sitting there first saying, wait a minute, let's see how this particular black woman, American black woman was before. Was she the kind of person that was like, oh, there's no such thing as racism. Oh, stop talking about racism, right? Because, numbers of them are like that, right? But again, they say that the numbers of American black men, black women are not researchers. Again, they just use their feelings. So when the numbers of American black women get reminded, right, that they don't care about your education, they don't care about your business, they don't care about your daughters, granddaughters, nieces, mothers, they don't care, right? And so then when people get numbers of black women get reminded, it's like, oh, I got to remind. Well, they don't say that, but oh, the guy was racial racist. Oh, the woman showed me racial racism. Oh my God! And then then you got numbers of black folks that come together around them without first sitting there saying, no, 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 we're not gonna jump to conclusions first. We're gonna see what kind of person that this particular black woman was. Was she a sellout? Right? Again, was she about talking about no such thing as racism? Right? But again, they know, the system know that's not going to happen overall. But you see already what in this particular example, right, happened, right? That they thought that, oh, well, I'm independent. Well, we're independent now. Not talking about American black women, the ones who think they're independent. That, oh, I don't need no male, black male. You heard what this person said. Well, because we're independent, well, what's the purpose of us needing the black male? Do you see the nonsensical part of that? The lostness of that. But it's brilliant. The power supremacists have got numbers of American black women that freaking lost. That lost. But see, again, denial is irrelevant, but this is what they love to do, play denial games, right? But they'll say, oh, well, but American black men, oh, they don't want to be in committed relationships. Oh, they're cheating. They're doing this and doing that. Right? No accountability about numbers of black women. Right? The ones that are not so innocent. Let's show something here on that.
To make a relationship, I'm not one to blame the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem is that I tend to attract narcissists, and I'm the complete opposite of a narcissist. Like I'm a very caring, very empathetic person. Yet I keep attracting unavailable men, like constantly.
What's the last relationship?
Real one, 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yes.
How long did it last?
It lasted 3 years.
Was he a narcissist?
No.
Why'd you leave him?
I actually, well, let's just say it didn't work out because I messed up. I was the one who messed up.
What does that mean?
I cheated.
So you're coming on and you playing the violin to get everybody's feelings involved. Poor empathetic girl who attracts the bad guy who's a narcissist. But then when we asked a few questions, you had a relationship with a guy for 3 years that you cheated on.
Yep. I did. I did. And I regret it.
And you left him.
Yeah.
Okay. What you leaving for?
At the time, my excuse was that I was bored.
Oh, okay.
And I know I'm literally saying, like, I'm
Bored is
speaking the truth.
bored is the reason a lot of women leave. But see, so honestly, what men hear is there's no reason to be a good guy because, when I was a good guy, women left me. But when I became a player, that's when I had those problems.
It's ass backwards. I know.
I mean, supremacy, they don't like having things like this being shown, calling out numbers of American black women with accountability. Again, I'm not talking about the very small percentage of American black women that are real good-hearted. They're not trying to use, they're not gold digging, they're not looking at externalism of things like that they require from a black man, even though the higher up a black male makes, the amount of money he makes, that he does not have to sit there when there's a gigantic amount of black women per black male, because the system knows that. And the system knows that if more American black males start waking up, not being woke, but truly start waking up and say, wait a minute, man, there's how many numbers of American black women per black male? They don't need to sweat any black women if they so choose not to do that. And the system makes sure not to get more American black males to realize that. Why again do you need to sweat an American black woman? Again, I'm not talking about the good-hearted ones. I'm not talking about sweating. That's not the sweat either. But I'm saying the ones that look upon their looks as if that's like goddess-like. And for that person who think they're goddess-like, there's about however many look similar to that person. And again, that's not even counting going to another culture, cultures of women. And they don't like the numbers of black women, the ones that are sellouts, they'll have so much hate for American black men. They make sure they don't want black males to wake up and realize that part. That why y'all sitting there sweating numbers of American black women for what? For what? Right? I'm sitting there saying to you that I don't go there. But let's continue, okay? Let's continue. But you heard in this situation, right? They started off. Oh, by the way, these videos I'm relaying fair usage. Let me relay this again. Fair usage on these videos, okay? The ones that are not, and would be public domain. So again, these are fair usage videos I'm using for commentary and criticism and things like that. So you see what the person relayed in this particular video, right? How they start off, start off, the victim. Oh, I attract narcissist men. Oh my goodness, narcissist men. And then she had a good black man. And what did she do? She got bored and cheated on him. Bush. See, the system makes sure not to talk about when American black women cheat, right? They make sure not to do that. And you have numbers of American black women make sure in that demonic feminism, indoctrination mentality, not talking about the good numbers of American black women, I'm talking about the sellout numbers of modern day versions that have so much hatred for black males. They make sure they don't want nobody to talk about when numbers of American black modern day women cheat and leave good black males. I don't even get into arguments with that. This is another black woman who admitted that she cheated on a good black male, and this happens often enough. But again, what Kevin Samuels is bad, right? Oh, he don't like women, especially black women, but here it is, right? What does black woman just say? That she attracts narcissism men. Mike playing victim card, but at the same time, what she admits herself, what she did not want to really do, because you can tell in her aura she felt embarrassed, because you had no say so on how you sound, right? Why be like, wait a minute, you had a good black male and you left him, you cheated because of what? Because you were what? Boy, not because he was abusing her left and right, not because he was cheating on her left and right, not because he was using her left and right, because she was what? Bored. I'm gonna show you. Let me show you something else. I'm almost finishing this show. Let me show you something else on that.
Guess what? It ain't about just you. But let's take the point you made, since though that's how y'all want to do, make it all about you. If somebody told you to smile, and you said you were what, offended?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Because it's like, why is there such a demand for women to, well, especially for black women, to just always look a certain way? Like, why can't we just naturally be whatever we feel?
You got so I want to get this clear. Someone just says, "Hey, smile," and it's offensive to you.
I mean, for the most part, it just comes across as like demanding, and I'm not saying that I feel. Yes.
Huh.
Like, what if I don't feel like smiling? What if I'm in deep thought? What if I'm listening to something that's
This is where we're at. We have civilized the world and done such a good job in first world countries to where women, in this case black women, are offended just to be asked to smile. It's offensive.
Doesn't come off as a question of asking or requesting. It's almost a demand. Smile, beautiful.
I mean, this,
Sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge. He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead. No.
again, I can't even put it in words. When you sit there and see and listen to this type of nonsense from certain sections of American black women, again, not talking about the non-sellouts and the ones that have such violence toward American black men, and as if because the numbers of American black women, some of the ones that are with American black men, as if that means that they're with him because they're in love with him. Go jump into 3 Lake of Fires with that nonsense. Because most of the time it ain't about love. Most of the time it's about economics. How many numbers of American black women that have 2 or 3 feet in, or 2 or 3 feet out, and 1 foot in a relationship, and as soon as they come across somebody who makes a little bit more money, jump up and go somewhere, whoop, whoop, or someone they think is more exciting. You heard what the other person said before this last video, right? They had a good black male, but why they leave again? Not because he was abusing her 1,000 different times, not because he was cheating her left and right. Right? Not because he was control her left and right. You know, that demonic bull crap they try to play that game with, right? But because what, she was bored. And here you again, not talking about this particular person, this video personally, I don't care. But the construiness of what come out that person's mouth. Someone says, smile, and they thought that was offensive. Oh, God. They thought that was offensive because someone said smile. The lostness of that mentality is ridiculous. Now, there's another piece of video on that same video. I didn't show whatever it is, but to make a long story short on that, it was another piece, another video on that where Kevin Samuels was like, okay, you know what? You know, how would you feel if basically, you know, a black male or male, whatever it was the situation, never spoke to you? How would you like that? And she said, no, I wouldn't like that. I'll be sad. See, the numbers of American black women know if more black males walk up and say, okay, I'm not going to sit there and talk to numbers of more American black women. I am not going to freaking do it. Talking about the ones that are sternism, gold digging version, a propaganda eyes thinking they're better than black males, which they're not. A black man's not better than a black woman. A black woman's not better than a black male. Right? Doesn't work. Shouldn't be even a thought pattern. But in this system of feminism, by numbers of women within certain parts of predominant culture who give their marching orders to disseminate down to the lower ranks of numbers of women, right, to disseminate their vileness of doctrine of anti-males in general, because there are numbers again of women within the predominant culture who can't stand their own males, and the only reason numbers of quite a number of women within certain parts of predominant culture are with certain number of their males is because of economics and socialness. If that wasn't set up to be that direction, how many numbers of women within the predominant culture will be leaving numbers of their males left and right? That's a reality. But the system says we'll never allow it to happen, so we'll keep control. But you see in this situation what happened again. This particular scenario of a black woman gets mad because someone says smile. What other culture does that of woman? Now say if it's something happening in that person's life, then you know what? they can do a fake smile. No, they may be going through something with a family member. When somebody passes by and says smile, they can look up and pretend to smile, right? Because that person will just go right past him anyway. So if they say smile and say that black woman is going through something, I mean heartache, this loss of one, a parent or a family member, or a friend, you ain't want to smile. But you know what? That's not the situation in most cases. And the system knows that. They know that numbers of times, quite a number of American black women just don't want to smile. They have so much hatred toward the American black male. But you best believe at work, they smiling at their boss. They smile at that supervisor. They better. You have a business, you trying to get a grant, are you trying to get a loan, are you trying to do this? You better not go into no bank, you better not go into a financial institution and not smile at the person make decisions. Do you see how that goes? See, I see through this stuff with easiness because it's so obvious, right? But no, the culture of women would do this kind of stuff for somebody to say smile, right? Let me show you one of the last videos I'm going to show you. Oh, well, one of the last ones.
By the way you see the ethnic image of black women acting towards black men, are black women our women? Not aspirationally, by the results, by what you see.
Not aspirationally, by what I see. Not aspirationally. I feel like yes, we definitely
No, I asked you what you see, what you feel. Ma'am, are you going to actually tell me by what you see, black women act like they belong to black men?
We need a lot of.
You see the hesitation. It was like the person was short circuiting. By the way, again, fair usage on these videos. But that's sad to look at. That was sad to look at. Sad to look at. Let me play you another quick part of that on that.
We need truth.
Okay.
Can you honestly say that greater than 50% of the adult black females act and move as though they belong to black men?
No, and I'm going to answer. Can I rebuttal to that?
Go ahead.
I don't feel like the majority necessarily act like they belong to any man, though. So it's not like we're ditching them.
There's only one, but you can rebuttal that, man. But you're only supposed to belong to one.
Yes.
See, that's
Absolutely.
subjective variable bullshit. That's not an answer, man. Black men don't want to hear that we don't belong, because you don't expect every man to protect you. When somebody's going upside your head, you ain't asking Bradley or Enrique, protect us. You asking a black man to protect you.
Correct.
So we don't give a shit if you don't feel like you belong to anybody else. White women, do white women act like they belong to white people?
Yes.
Yes or no? Do Hispanic women act like they belong to Hispanic people?
Absolutely.
Do Asian women act like they belong to Asian men?
Definitely.
Do Middle Eastern women act like they belong to Middle Eastern men?
Yes.
Do black women act like they belong to black men?
By and large, no. But those...
The fact that you have to even put a modifier on there says you are still conflicted with the reality you are seeing.
Oh boy. Now my mindset is tired when I see things like this. Because again, remember, Kevin Samuels was supposed to be about not liking women and especially hating black women, right? By his harshness. Do you see the vile, nonsensical propagandized indoctrination, demonicnism, and but the bracelet of supremacy and the bracelet of feminism, demonicness, right? That utilize quite a number of American numbers of black women in modern day to use them in their lostness, Not talking about the some numbers of American black women that are good. But again, it's not enough, because if overall the numbers of American black women were good hearted and want to be with the American black males and not cause friction, not cause non peace, uh, did not want to uh, allow outside forces to infiltrate the American black culture with demonicness, with the feminism, then the overall amount of American black women, if they were the majority, will again quail that small number of American black women, modern day sellouts and gullible ones, and supremacy, feminism, indoctrinated versions, right? If that was the case, then the majority of black women would would uh, would control that small, true minority of black women that are trying to sit there and practice their feminism, right, through their uh, true God-like feminism type people that dissipates their indoctrination with anti-maleness in general. It's like the thing when you hear these nonsensical bull crap. When you sit there and hear somebody saying, well, you know what, oh, society, oh, we need to help. No, we need to help the girls. Or I've heard, women, or I've heard this when they'll say, oh, minorities, and they'll say, we need to help minority women, and we need to help women. Are there not minorities that are women? Or some might say, you know, oh, we need, they may even every so often may say American black women, but usually they don't. But let's say ones that say American black women, we need to help, and women. Do you see that that's the nonsense that happens in the society, right? Even though, again, in enslavement, which was not long ago, former segregation wasn't a long time ago. You're talking about the 50s and 60s, wasn't a long time ago. Remember a thing called Rosa Parks? Remember the thing called Emmett Till? The thing with, oh man, I lost it on that one. One in Jackson, Mississippi, I forgot the guy, losing a, trying to remember the guy in Jackson, Mississippi situation. James Meredith, right? This stuff is not a long time ago, right? The Little Rock Nine, that in Arkansas, that was a long time ago. I'm saying specifically in those dealing with the schools part. Who do you think was going to the Little Ruby Bridges? Who do you think was going to those schools removing their kids? It wasn't numbers of males within the Panamanian culture. It was numbers of females within the Panamanian culture that was going to schools to removing their little children from the Panamanian culture because they didn't want them to be around those little Negro pickaninny girls and boys. That was numbers of women within the Panamanian culture. But how silly and stupid and ignorant that you got numbers of personnel within the culture, numbers of our women, that American black women, that have forgotten that. That was a long time ago. But that crap couldn't be pulled on another culture, and then those women forget. That'll never happen. But you see what this person said in this situation. Again, fair uses doctrine. Again, the first video I showed you, prior to this one, you see they almost short-circuited when he asked a simple question. Do you think that black women belong to black males? And you have some silly feminism indoctrinated numbers of American black women. I'm not talking about the good ones that believe, control. That had nothing to do with that. And what did he sit there and ask? Pertinent question. Do you think white women belong to white males? Yes. Do you think Hispanic white males? Yes. Middle Eastern belong to Middle Eastern women belong to the Middle Eastern men? Yes. Very quick, very precise. When he asked the question about again, what about the black women? Do you think they belong to the black male? Well, not necessarily, but jeez. Half a generation, one generation left overall for the complete destruction overall in this amount of the American black community. Too many problems. And this is one of the last videos I'm going to show relating to these type of situations.
Say something really quick. I put up a post and it said, women who be like, don't depend on a man for nothing. And it said, no sis, you don't depend on your man, my man come through. And so many women, especially black women, were bothered and felt the need to DM me in regards to them feeling like you wrong if you depend on a man for anything. But that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to depend on the person that you are in a relationship with. Imagine giving yourself physically to someone, but you can't depend on them. Now, I'd like it better if someone said, I can't depend on my dude, but to say I can't depend on any dude is insane to me.
Man, that is so powerful. And you see what this particular sister was saying. When she tried to correct however numbers of black women, hey, don't we talking about the overall, talking about, don't depend on black male. No. Or that black male ain't did nothing. No. You need to be very specific and say, no, your black male wasn't doing that. And what did she say? She didn't say, what did she relay on? She said the numbers of women, but she said specifically black women, numbers of black women were coming after her. But again, Kevin Samuels was the bad person, right? See, this is the kind of stuff that's so demonic, right? There is no accountability overall within quite a number of personnel within certain sections of American black women. There is overall a lot of no accountability. With few exceptions, again, I'm not talking about the good numbers of black women, but I just told you, and I will not play games. Because I am too good to see through the nonsense. I'm just not one of those personnel that are going to sit there and be going back and forth over things that are reality. Now, if a person enjoys going back and forth with a person because they really enjoy it, then that's different. But none of the personnel don't really like that, but they'll do it and their stress levels go up, high blood pressure go up left and right because they sitting there arguing down with somebody. I'm not going to do it. And you see this black woman try to sit there specifically say, hey, don't be saying black males in general. Your black male did not do this and do that. And she got pushed back by numbers of American black women. But again, the Kevin Samuels, they want to go off on Kevin Samuels talking about he didn't like women. He didn't like specifically black women. Do you see this game they playing? Let me read you. And they utilize the numbers of American black women. It is sickening. But it's brilliant. It's like the thing with the Ice Cube scenario, right? The great iconic Ice Cube, right? Doing this thing from what he beginning to being this major businessman, doing this thing, being with his black wife for a long time, right? Long time, right? But that one, I guess that ain't good enough to serve black women because there was some black women talking about how he portrayed whoever person, that person, whatever movie or this and all that. Oh, what? Oh, he portrayed this black woman this way or that black woman, or look at the kind of music he did, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. But again, look into certain parts of the bad version of hip-hop now. Look at some of these numbers of women within bad version of hip-hop, using the N-word left and right, using the B-word left and right, making a lot of money left and right, sitting there doing, provocative dances left and right. But again, no accountability for that, right? Do you see how that goes, right? And feminism is laughing. Supremacy is laughing. Because they say, boy, these silly Negro warped modern day version of black women, don't you see we using them? So you know what? Because what it boils down to. Let me read you some comments I was reading on some of those things relating to some of those videos. One of those comments says, as a white man, I didn't realize how bad it was for black men. One of the person that won the episodes was talking about that episode really hit home, really hit hard for a lot of us black men. Another comment saying, never before have they seen a generation of women hell bent on pushing men away and shocked that men avoid them. Now, this is a very super point. Another comment said, I'm a white man, and our women don't like us either. They just smile more. Another said this segment has to be archived for future generations. So when they look back at what happened to the black family, this is one of the reasons also I want to have a show relating to this as an archivist, right? As a timepiece purpose. Because again, the American black overall, men and female, only have half a generation, one generation left. That's it. Too many internal problems, right? You still got numbers of certain numbers of black political figures that ain't gonna do nothing for black folks. But you have higher number cultures, internal lifestyle category personnel, certain ones within political situations are doing for their people, are doing for their agendas, are doing for them. But for some reason, numbers of sections of non-small black political figures, who the ones I'm talking about, with very few exceptions, don't do nothing for black folks. But they find ways to get this reparations again for numbers of Asian people. They found a way to sit there and vote for the anti-Asian law, even though the number one people in the country of America that has the most anti-race is black. And it's like, again, you got personnel act like they don't see the damn, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. They're like they don't see the people that see the truth on this.
Sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge. He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead.
Again, it's funny, but this is the way it sounds. One of the last comments I want to read, it said damaged adults, or should I say damaged black adults, produce damaged black relationships, period. Our community needs help. Yes, 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 yes. Extreme, yes. Global, yes. Infinite, yes. Pseudo infinite, yes. The American black man, black woman needs cultural counseling as a collective, and that should be free. The American black culture overall, because unfortunately there are sellouts all over within the culture, but that's a different topic. There should be reparations for free counseling at their choosing for however long they so choose to go to counseling. There should be some type of reparations for if you a black. Anyway. There should be reparations for easily a black man or black woman that want to go to college. If they've been to college, they should be able to have their particular college debts paid off. If they've already paid off, well, that's one of the things. There's not a perfect solution on those things. But the point is that regardless, cultural counseling should be free. That's a form of reparations, so they can find billions of dollars for helping Ukrainian personnel, Ukrainian powers, however you want to be, find money left and right, helping a number of Ukrainian personnel coming to the country like they did the Syrians, like they did Afghanistanians. Do you see how this goes, man? What a type of embarrassing insult. Helping other people out first, finding resources, reparations of some sort to help others out, passing anti-hatred laws for others, helping out border-breaking immigration personnel, but at the same time they can't get reparations. It's like, for black folks, my God, do you see an embarrassment of this? It don't take nobody with any type of piece of logic to see, my God, those American black folks are getting treated like crap. And nothing is happening because they know it's only but a few American black men and black women that are not falling for this. Again, this is not the topic for that, but watch how in the midterm elections, still nothing will happen specific for black folks to help them out. But again, how many other cultures, alternative lifestyle categories, border-breaking illegal immigration personnel, etc., continue to keep getting reparations in some sort to help them out? It's like fastest question. How many personnel within the predominant culture has something to do with taking the Indians' land? You got numbers of males and women within the predominant culture say, man, I ain't got nothing to do with that. But they don't overall. But their taxpayers' money, through some kind of way, goes to whatever they know where that it goes to disseminate out to whatever numbers of American Indians for reparations, even though however numbers of males and women within the predominant culture had nothing to do with that. But you see how fast numbers of males and women within the predominant culture, you bring reparations, I ain't got nothing to do with that. Do you see the nonsense a part of that? They're very scared to sit there and say that about they had nothing to do with American Indian money, American Indian. The white man took their land. White woman took their land. They won't talk about that, but they'll bring up CRT. Do you see this nonsense with very few exceptions? Do you see how this goes? Right? How many numbers of American Native Indian personnel will we call that were around the Trail of Tears? None? But how many people get reparations that had nothing to do with Trail of Tears for them, but they get reparations? Do you see how crazy it sounds? But at the same time, feminism, demonic, has sit there and infiltrated numbers of American black women to show hatred toward American black men. Do you see how crazy this is? Last video I'm going to show kind of has a summation to it. Let me throw this out to you.
Sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
Oh, sorry. Wrong video. Oh, right quick. One additional quick video, then we'll go to the last one. This is what the kind in this system. That was step and fetch it. There are people who know about step and fetch it, and there are quite a number of people from different cultures, backgrounds, ethnicities, etc. Never heard of that. Step and fetch it. So you got high numbers of Syrians, Afghanistan people, Ukrainian personnel, numbers of Hispanic personnel, numbers of Asian personnel, numbers of American Indian personnel, different parts from certain other places that slide within the category of black, never heard and come to this country voluntarily, utilize what American blacks have went through for their benefit, with very few exceptions that care anything about American black. But without the American black, many would not even be in this country. But then that's a different topic. I make that point because quite a number of personnel, what I just relayed over, and however numbers of others, border break, illegal immigration personnel, the list goes on, that know nothing about step and fetch it at all. Heck, there are some numbers of American blacks never heard step and fetch it. But see, this is the kind of stuff that they want American black men, males, to be. Criminalities, buffoonery, nonsensical part, can't think, right? Nothingness. This is what they, weak, effeminized, this is what they want the American black male to be overall. And they're going to utilize even more American black women. I'm talking about the sellout versions within a modern day culture. Excuse me, I almost forgot something. While I was talking about the Ice Cube scenario, when you had, again, I'm not saying no names because I don't even remember the names in the first one overall, but in general, how you had Ice Cube that was talking about a contract for Black America, trying for tangible things, just as how political personnel get tangible things to other personnel, right? And don't care anything about American black, but find excuses. I'm talking about the political person who know who they are. They know who they are, the ones I'm talking about, right? Find stuff everybody else. But again, but when it comes concerns of reparations, they got excuses. Well, I mean, what an insult, right? It's like, again, you can find one of the largest type of planets, and it's like a big old fly swatter across the mouths and faces of numbers of American black men and women, because it's like the insult in this, right? That they can't find reparations, right? But they can find reparations and resource for all the different people. And it's like numbers of American blacks just sit there and tolerate this overall. And the system knows that. So that's why, again, they utilize feminism to utilize American black women, especially when we start getting around those mid 60s, late 60s, when the civil rights movement started dwindling a different directions, more with the integrationists in situations like that, right? Pseudo non-equality, pretend it's equality, but it wasn't. Then feminism reared its demonic head to utilize numbers of black women that, you don't need no man, power for the woman. And then you realize what was going on mid 60s, and prior to that, black men and black women had to stick together in unity. That one a long time ago, they was going through black pain even more, or formerly. You see how that goes? Mental manipulation tactics. So I'm gonna stop here with this last video. Kind of has a summation to it. Okay, has a summation, kind of summation part to it.
But I'm afraid I'll have trouble describing my brilliance in 1,000 words or less.
What is it that makes you think you're so great, Luthor?
Simply that everyone else is so hopelessly inferior that I can't help but be the most intelligent man on earth.
If you're so intelligent, Luthor, then how come you're locked up in a prison cell?
An excellent observation, Miss Lane. For you see, I won't be in this prison cell much longer. I've developed the greatest plan of my career in which I'll destroy the Super Friends and turn Superman into a helpless weakling.
You've tried that before and failed, Luthor. Besides, you'll have to get out of prison first.
Oh, that will be easy, Miss Lane. And you are going to help me.
Jimmy, do something.
Yes,
That was a powerful thing, right? Again, fair usage. Just look at that from a subliminal standpoint with the feminism demonicness. Be it for numbers of women within predominant culture, be it numbers of women from another culture, and truly, definitely numbers of women within American black culture, the feminism indoctrinated version ones that have anti-black male hatred toward another black male. That is prime exampleness of what usually happens or can happen in a generic, that can happen, has happened, right? That you have numbers of African ancestry native black women. I'm talking about, not talking about the good ones, the numbers of ones that are more than the small numbers of really good American black women that are not materialistic, that are not external, that don't think they're better than the black man, right? But you see what happened on that episode again, very powerful, right? That particular woman was talking all that stuff, right, toward this man, right, toward that man, right? Lex Luthor, excuse me, right? Powerful brain, build all kind of stuff, old school super friends, challenges super friends, etc., right? Built the Legion of Doom, all kind of center store type signatures going on, all trying to come up with brilliant things to do all kind of stuff, right? Just different things like that. Powerful mindset, right? And when it looks like that particular man is going toward that particular woman, right? She looks at the sucker of that guy next to her and says, hey, what are you going to do? Hey, help, hey, do something, right? But you see how that particular woman was sitting there, born up to Lex Luthor, right? That's symbolism. Born up to Lex Luthor, right? When she felt that she had got control. But when it looked like Lex Luthor was like, you ain't got no control. What are you doing? Then she looked to the sucker guy to say, hey, help me. What are you going to do to the other guy? Do you see how that goes? Think about that, like racial racism. How many number of African ancestors, native black women, the sellout version, the ones that have hatred for black males, like also they have hatred for Kevin Samuels, that will get in the faces of black males, slap them all over the place. That's another different topic in itself, right? Talking about, they always talk about how males are abusing women. They doing this and doing that, but they never talk about women that are abusing the living crap out of males. Numbers of black women that abuse black males. They never talk about that part. That's a no-no, right? People talking about Violence Against Women Act. Well, how is that even, what? As if women don't do violence against males. But that's a different topic in itself, right? But you see the symbolism in that last clip, right? That particular woman, right, got in the face or was was blowing up to Lex Luthor but when it seemed like that, he's letting her know you ain't got no control. When she felt that in an uncomfortable scenario, she looked to the other side to find a weak type of that particular weak male to sit there and take the hit. You said I go take the hit, right, toward by another male that was more strongness than that weak particular male, right? That woman will bow up to this other male who can be a strong male, but when it looks like he's not going to bow down to her, and it looks like, wait a minute now, that's too much of a strong male. Let me get with this other male who's going to sit there and protect me. You see how that goes? And this is where a lot of numbers of black women also want to do. They want to bow up to good black males, get in their faces, tell them anything in the world. He's nothing. He's lazy. All that kind of stuff like that. But again, symbolism, changing the symbolism. But again, racial racism, say symbolic of this particular male. He's sitting there showing this black woman that he don't give a 2 cents about her at all. He don't give 3 cents, right, of a toad's tail about her, and he's showing her racial racism. Then she looks over to the left side or the right side and sits there and look at the black male that she hates already, and then wants him to protect her. Do you see how that goes? I hope this was an interesting show. May Kevin Samuels, may his soul in that dimension continue to do that it does. Thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.